Hi, welcome back to Hometime. We're at a house where we started a landscape project a while back. We're here today to wrap everything up. We already saw how the main elements like the roof, windows, siding, natural stone, and garage doors all came together in a pleasing combination. And we got a good start on landscaping with the driveway out front and a set of retaining walls to deal with the difficult slope out back. Today we're going to be doing a couple patios, a stone walkway, we're going to be doing some plantings, and a sprinkler system. A lot to accomplish in a half hour, so stick around. Now we've got all of our retaining walls done, all the sides, and we're 2/3 done with the landscape. So let's take a look to see what all this looked like before any of this was done, just for a comparison. What we had then was a big old hill running from the back of the house down to the wetland area below, with nothing but clay from top to bottom and side to side. Now we got some rock solid advice from landscape designers Jim Sweeney and Heather Grossman, who gives a couple of different concepts for turning a major hill into some much more suitable real estate.
The homeowner here had a lot of grade change in the backyard, so we wanted to correct that grade with some retaining walls, brought in some different levels, down a couple more stairs to this kind of overlook fire pit feature.
Okay.
And then again, kind of walking down the stairs to this lower overlook patio. We'd have a couple side chairs, making it just feel really comfortable and casual. And then eventually down to the larger grassy area on the bottom.
Okay, now you say you have a second one?
Yeah, so kind of the second idea concept here that we can take a look at. Just a little bit difference of the layout here. Again, same kind of idea with bringing some terraces in. Again, same kind of idea with using the materials, the limestone. We did less stairs in this concept, just trying to create flat, usable spaces. On this plan, we actually created another retaining wall here to keep all the retaining walls under 4 feet. We removed the fire pit area, but again, we still had the retaining walls in here. Okay. So the grade here, you would just follow it along. It would be kind of a grassy path down to this overlook area.
So working with Russ Schmidt, he broke the walls into 2 shorter elevations to kind of take up the grade going all the way into the backyard. Following Heather Grossman's line around the patio, we created that area. Beautiful, nice curving areas that kind of vanish into the side yard. And what Russ did was really a nice random look on the walls. You can see the sizes vary all over the place. It just gives a very much of a cobbled sort of rustic natural appearance. We're just thrilled with the overall appearance. We also have a couple patios we'll be installing. On top of one of those patios, we're going to be installing this fire ring. Also a set of very interesting steps. Now Travis Lawrence is with us. He helped make some of these selections. So Travis, talk to us a little bit about these steps.
You're using the 3-sided precast steps. They're 18 by 48 inches, 6 inches high. They're the 3-sided step, meaning 3 sides are finished and 1 side is smooth.
Finished meaning it has kind of a stone face to it.
A chiseled look, yep, like a quarry type look. The back side is smooth, so you can butt it up to, say, doorways or existing patios, so you got a smooth transition. They're available in 5 different colors. You have the bluestone here,
and they also come in 400 pounds a piece, right?
They are quite heavy, but they are concrete. So
well, and I will have to say the nice thing about that is when you get these things installed, it's a very substantial feel to walk on these. They aren't jiggling around on you. It feels like the real McCoy when they're done.
Yeah, once they're installed, they're not going to blow away. They're going to be there for life.
They look and feel like it.
Nice. Once again, I'm running the old utility loader, hauling the stuff back. It's been quite a while since the old girl and I have been together. We laid some plywood down on the homeowner's yard here so they don't tear it up. We're carrying the steps around the back. It works very well. Without this, we'd be really tired.
Now the way we've been installing them is we cut out for the 1 step, and then we cut out another step behind. We load that in with a base, tamp that in real hard, set the next step on top of it, dig in again for the level of that step, and that seems to be the best way to go on.
That's exactly right. You're looking for about 4 to 6 inches of a compacted base, and you just want something solid that the stone can sit on and not rock or not erode.
One big thing when you're putting steps in, you got to make sure you are level both ways, front to back and side to side. If you get started out good and keep going good, everything should be just fine. Very important.
Because these steps are pretty beefy, pretty heavy, we're making sure that our base is ready to go. Make sure we're nice and level across, little tip toward the front so it sheds water. When we put them in, we're talking 4 guys, 2 straps per 1 step. Work together, put them in place, and hopefully everything fits the first time.
They're fairly easy to install, especially it's very easy to make a nice curving stairway. Which
Correct, yeah. If you can get over the weight of moving around, they're absolutely fabulous to work with. So.
Well, and you can see with 4 of us lifting it, we could get one around, but you have to commit yourself to a couple of helpers.
Yep, you just want to make sure that you got a strong back when you're
not going to throw them in the back of your pickup by yourself.
Not by yourself, no, you're not.
Yeah. Now for the tile, we ended up going with 18 by 18. That seemed like a good idea for what we were working with.
Yep, we have multiple sizes. You can get a 12 by 12, 12 by 24, and you can go as big as a 24 by 24. We manufacture these the same colors as the steps, so if you do have a patio, you can easily transition into the steps without any problem.
Well, as far as like grading this, the grade is kind of set already with the retaining walls, so we're just basically making sure there's no low spots, make sure water sheds away from it, and we took the loader, put a grading bar in there, just kind of skim everything flat. That works very, very well. Sure beats doing it by hand.
Now we're going to be using these in and around with some sod, so we're going to be spacing it 2 to 3 inches in between the tiles. So it's kind of a little bit different patio. We've done it a couple times.
Not our typical installation here, but you also need something that the grass is going to adhere to and grow the roots into. So that's basically the correct way of installing it this way.
We'll actually end up sprinklering this patio, which is a little different.
Excellent.
So you just mow right over the top of it like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now overall, in terms of the layout, we're going to be squaring the tiles to the house. This is very symmetrical, so we want to make sure that we land, exactly in this area for the patio with the same very symmetrical planting bed all the way around. So, it's a little frustrating is you can't get everything to time out perfectly in terms of spacing east, north, west, and south. So something has to give, and where we're going to be giving is we're going to have to make some cuts right up against the patio door, an area where I don't think we'll notice it very much. What's very important though is we have full tiles all the way around the patio area here where we have the planting bed, because that's going to be very visible. That's the area where your eye will be drawn to. Now before we lay down the pavers, we're going to be doing something that we never do on a paver project. We're going to lay down a little bit of black dirt because we're going to be putting grass on top of this. And yes, it's not the most solid surface for a patio, but again, this isn't like a heavy-duty patio. This is something where we want grass growing in. We're going to be watering this area. So the prep on this is a lot less than we would typically have on any other type of patio. Now laying out the pavers is pretty simple. Once we have it all raked out, we want to get 2 1/4 inches in between all the pavers. We want to keep all the rows going perfectly straight. That's the tricky part. So make sure everything's straight, and then make sure we keep that uniform distance in between all 4 sides of the squares. Once we get a row laid out, then we like to just lay out a string and just double check everything. And it's amazing how fast you get off, even when you're measuring both ways like this. So you get them in, try to get them close, and then stand back and strike a line to make sure that you're right in the money. So then on top of the large patio, we're going to be putting this fire ring, which is a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, these are one of our outdoor living kits. They're available in 3 different colors. This is again the bluestone color to stay uniform with the rest of the project. It comes complete. All the pieces are pre-cut, pre-cast.
Which is really a big deal.
Absolutely.
Boy, that would be so much work to do.
Yep, you don't need a saw on the site. All you need is basically a caulk gun. It comes with all the instructions, including glue and also a pair of gloves. Okay. And basically it's just a one-stop shop.
And this metal ring stays in the unit once everything's installed.
Yep, it's kind of just a protective layer so the concrete doesn't heat up.
Yeah.
These fire rings are pretty slick little unit, There's 3 courses of pavers with a metal ring that sits inside of it. There's 19 rows of pavers around each course. So once you set your base in real well, set your first course around your ring, make it fit, then you set your next course around there, make it fit, glue them all as you go. Get your 3rd course on, glue them, and when you're done, slip your ring in, you're ready to blaze up some brats. Only bad thing is there's no cutting to do, which doesn't break my heart. I got a day off on the wet saw, which isn't too darn bad.
Now originally the plan was to take the fire ring and cut it into the patio up there, but then the more we thought about it, that is getting fairly close to the house. Cities do like to see these fire rings about 50 feet from the back of the house, so we thought, how about right here? It looks like a pretty good spot. Well, all of our trees, shrubs, and perennials have been delivered now, and for a yard this size, it takes quite a few. It doesn't look like we have that many when we clump them all together, but trust me, we've got plenty. When we do those, at this point, we like to group them all together so it's very easy to water. We're going to be watering these 2 to 3 times a day. The nursery does such a beautiful job growing and maintaining this stuff. You hate to kill it 2 days before you put it into the ground, so we're very careful of that. Another thing is all of these plants, you'll notice, are container grown, which makes them very easy to plant. The roots on a 25-gallon container like this on a tree just stay very much intact. We have a really great success ratio of planting these trees. So like this, what is that, a snow crab, you end up with really a nice sized tree, roots in perfect condition by the time you get in the hole. We love it. Now once we get all this in the ground, we'll take you on a little tour, but in the meantime, we just want to keep everything watered really well before it gets in the ground. Now another thing we have going on today, we're putting in a sprinkler system in the lawn. Mark Linneman's here today with his crew. It's really crucial to have a good sprinkler system so you're getting enough water on the lawn, but you're not watering it too much. So Mark, how do you go about laying out a system like this?
We start measuring out, flagging up the areas that need different type of heads for different applications, and the drip as well. And once we start flag it all up, and when we start designing it out, we start pulling the pipe right away and putting in the fittings and the heads and go from there. And
how is it that you're able to make these so precise that they water the grass just enough without too much? Because so many times you drive through neighborhoods and you see water just running down the curbs into storm sewers.
It has to do with the design is a big part, with the right precision kind of product you use.
Sure.
Next, the controller is the big key to that.
And what's involved in installing all this stuff?
Well, the first thing we do is, once it's all flagged out, we start pulling the pipe with the vibrating plow. And what that does is it knifes the pipe under the ground and pulls it right along. So there's just a seam that's caught in the middle, and you drive back over it and it's gone. In 2 weeks you won't even know we were there.
Then you got a lot of pipes to connect.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of pipes. I have a lot of guys to do it too. But it's the combination of how it's put together that makes the difference.
So what's involved in hooking up the sprinklers?
The combination T is what we use all the time rather than the saddle. And what that does is actually, that goes to the heads. Mm-hmm. And every head we put on has a flexible pipe to it, so that if it pushes down, all you got to do is pull the head back up. It won't break any fitting connections, and it won't leak. You can take a spray head, wiggle it on there.
And that doesn't require any type of connection, that just holds like that?
That holds like that. We'd have to take your truck and pull on it.
And then with this pipe like this allows you to locate that sprinkler head exactly where you want it, whereas pulling the pipe, that you just kind of locate it in the general area.
Exactly, somewhere nearby. Obviously the less digging the better, but if it has, you don't want to put the sprinkler head right on top of this pipe.
Now you're working with 4 basic nozzles here, right?
Actually, some of it is nozzles and some of it's rotary nozzles.
Okay.
This is actually a spray nozzle. It's a precision spray nozzle that gives you like a mist that goes out.
And that pops up and gives you a continuous pattern all
Yes, and that's pops up 4 inches. That's how the head pops up.
Okay.
And then we get into the rotary heads, which are 30-foot radius, and they're the ones that just have that stream that shoot out.
And those you typically run more minutes per zone because it takes a while to cover the area that they're working in.
Correct, with this one and with the rotary nozzle.
Yeah.
With the precision spray nozzle, no, there's usually 15 minutes or so.
You drench them pretty quick.
Yeah, that does, and it's a smaller area.
And then you're also using drip irrigation.
Yes, we're using the drip irrigation today. We're using the root intrusion drip irrigation, so the roots can't grow back into it.
Okay.
When it's off. The roots like to go wherever moisture is, but this type of drip irrigation has that capability to where roots will not go in it.
So you don't have to worry about over time. Pretty soon your drip irrigation doesn't work anymore.
Exactly.
It's all clogged with.
Well, there would be emitters that will all of a sudden stop on you, but it stops that.
Okay. Now it's actually the controller though that's the brains behind the whole outfit, right?
Yeah, the controller actually tells each zone what to do as far as how long to run. The one we're using today is right here. We're going to end up with 15 zones here at this place, and you can control that from it. Usually it's in the garage. There's a rain sensor that goes on them, or a moisture sensor, or a climate logic, which is basically a weather station that goes with that.
So how does the climate logic thing work?
What it does is it knows the temperature out. It will sense rain by the rain sensor, but it knows how cool it is at night, and it won't water. You tell it when to start, it tells you when it's going to end.
So let's say in the summer when it's 100 degrees, it's evaporating water a lot faster than let's say in the fall when it's getting up to maybe like 55 during the day. You need a lot less water on the lawn.
Exactly, and it just does it for you. I mean, all clocks you can regulate that, but this does it for you. It's all user friendly. It's good to go.
Well, it seems like every year they develop new products. This stuff just keeps getting more and more efficient and precise. It really is kind of amazing.
Yeah, the technology is caught up with trying to conserve water.
Now, you might recall in the first few shows we did on finishing off the exterior of this house, we also did a little bridge going across the creek out and back. And for that, we used some light steel beams to carry the span for us, setting those on some really cool pin-type foundation piers with crisscrossing metal bars to anchor them. And then finishing off the deck with western red cedar and keeping things safe with the metal railing system. Well, as you can see, after a harsh Minnesota winter, everything's holding up beautifully. Nothing's heaving. I got to tell you, these footings are a wonderful, non-invasive way of putting down a footing in an area around all these trees without, you know, affecting so much as a root. Held up beautifully. I think the neighbors might want to come out and sweep this off every now and again, but other than that, things are looking great.
Basically, you want to soak the whole bed.
Last time Mark's guys did the bulk of the sprinkler system. Today, now that all the plants are in, they're back to work on the drip irrigation. So Mark, last time the guys could have done the drip irrigation, right?
Yep, but the plants weren't in, so now the time is to do it.
So once the plants are down, you don't have to worry about moving around the lines as you do all the plants.
Right. It does make it a little easier we know where all the plants are, we know where to put the line.
So installing these lines today, are you hooking them up to the same high water pressure that you're doing all the other sprinkler systems?
No, the valves that control the drip irrigation is actually reduced pressure. So it reduces the pressure to each emitter, so that each emitter has 10 pounds per square inch.
So we're installing how many lines here? 4?
4 zones of
Okay.
drip irrigation, yes.
All right, okay. And when you program those, you'll be programming them with the rest of the sprinklers?
Yes, we will, unless it needs different applications. We can actually water more on just the drip if we need to in different times.
Okay, so with the controller hooked up now, why don't you talk to us a little bit about this weather station?
Okay.
Now I know that, you know, you can set the start times and, you know, how long they run and all that type of stuff, but how does that weather station affect how that controller runs?
The weather station dictates how long it's going to run. You tell it when to start, it tells you when it's going to end. Based on the seasonal adjust, like this particular time it's down to 70%. It's actually watering less than what it's originally programmed for based on the temperature.
So in other words, in the middle of July when it's really hot and dry, it'll probably be at 100%.
Yeah, it's at 100%, but when it gets hotter, it actually goes over 100%.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the clock itself, when it goes over, it needs more water. Temperature says it needs more water for the grass.
Okay.
And with this clock, what it does is it divides that time in half to do what's called a cycle soak for less runoff.
It's amazing how precise this stuff gets. I mean, it's so sophisticated.
Yes.
You know, you got to save a lot of money with something like that.
Oh yeah, it helps you save money.
As I mentioned earlier, watering has not been the only challenge in this yard. There's also the grade out back, and we made some very nice accommodations with retaining walls to establish some level areas and the landscape steps to help people go up and down the hill and move from one place to the other. So Jim, why don't you kind of run through the whole theory you and Heather had when you put this whole thing together?
Sure. So the house sits so nicely on the cul-de-sac. We were hoping to present it well and kind of create an interesting, inviting scenario so that as people approach the home that it feels comfortable. We did have a scenario where we were looking to try to also create some privacy actually in the front yard because so many people are using their front yard so much more. So although we're connected here on these spacious lots, we also wanted to have, you know, a little bit of a feeling that they were enclosed and really feeling good.
So that's why you have plantings down either lot line.
Exactly. We have a mix of both evergreens and some deciduous plants as well as some perennials to give some interest and color. And also, certainly we were looking for the year-round interest with it.
I know one of the challenges was the steep terrain in the backyard.
The idea of the plan was to create these level spaces so that they'd be usable and really interesting and great little intimate spaces.
So what do you do in terms of heights of plantings to kind of incorporate that all into the design?
So we spend a lot of time with the heights of the plants and making sure that we understand the different feel from the spaces. So if you're in a patio, for example, you want to make sure that we've got enough protection, especially at the edge of a slope, so that you feel cozy and nestled, so that the plants can kind of soften the edges.
but yet also we want to make sure that they don't obstruct a view, so that when you're in the space, that the spaces can work the way that we intend them, and so that the family and whoever's using them really enjoys the space.
Oh, it was kind of fun talking to Heather. She took us on a little tour and kind of discussed, you know, some of her plant selections.
She's got some great ideas here.
So Heather, why don't you talk through some of the plant selections you made for the plan?
Okay, Dean. Well, every once in a while we want to pick something a little interesting and unique to just kind of anchor the front walkway. And so this is one of the trees that we used. It's a dwarf crane lilac tree. And what it'll do, eventually it'll get about 5 to 6 feet tall and wide, and then it'll get a purple flower in the springtime that smells really good too.
Do you have a picture of this in your collection?
I do. And so here you can kind of see it. The top of it will get a little bit bushier. You can prune it to make it a little bit more formal if you want. Otherwise you can just kind of let it go and be kind of more relaxed and freeform.
And you have one of those on each side of the entrance here, so it kind of bookends the little walkway coming up the...
Sets you up for the front door.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great looking little tree there.
So over here, kind of in this informal entrance patio area, we wanted to do kind of the same thing with the plants. So we have a little bit more formal around the patio with some of the arborvitaes and junipers.
Now, what makes this formal?
Well, the reason why it's a little bit more formal is we have the straight lines of the arbs. They're all spaced exactly the same. They're more in a line. They're a little bit more compact than kind of the free-form 9-bark behind them.
And then the tall evergreens, one in each corner.
Yep, one in each corner.
Very exactly placed.
Yep, and those will only get about 3 feet wide and about 10 feet tall, so they're not going to get too wide. They stay really compact, neat and tidy.
So down the road, somebody can come here and, I mean, those will look very, very just well ordered.
Well organized, yep, exactly. So they kind of have a purpose to it, yet they don't look too stuffy.
Yeah, but the 9-barks, then that's kind of, they just look like they're sort of thrown in there.
Yep, exactly. I mean, they're going to get about 4 feet tall. They'll have a white flower on them, but they're a little bit more relaxed in the back.
I noticed you use quite a few 9-bark in the lot line areas too.
Yeah, we like to kind of repeat some of the same shrubs along the space here. The summer wine 9-bark here is going to get a little bit taller, and then down the line we have the little devil, which gets about 3 feet tall. So really super easy, low maintenance. You don't have to prune it, which is great.
So this is a lot line here, and you've done a lot of plantings along here to create kind of a barrier over time?
Yep, exactly. Kind of a mix of different evergreens and deciduous things, different heights and colors and textures. So something kind of relaxed and informal to give you kind of a nice transition between the homeowners and the neighbors. So Dean, what we wanted to do is kind of the same thing that we did in the front with this informal bluestone patio with the grass in between it. We have, again, kind of the same formal plants that we did in the front with the 4-corner evergreens, the arbs kind of in the middle, and then we have some salvia purple flowers in the middle there as well. So it's a little bit more formal up here, and then as you move a little bit closer towards the wood line, it becomes a little bit more informal with the plants and the actual varieties of the plants.
Just standing up here and looking down everything, it's just a very comfortable, it's really a nice feeling. Yeah.
Relaxed, comfortable, just
it doesn't feel overdone, overplanted. There's just the right amount. Absolutely gorgeous.
Thanks, Dean.
Well, guys, I got to tell you, it really turned out nice. We're very happy with what you came up with. Hopefully we can work again on one of these, all right?
Thank you, Dean.
Thanks, Heather.
Yep.
We'll see you guys.
Okay.
Well, that's going to wrap this project. It's always fun to see how landscaping can impact the exterior of a house. So next time we're on to another project. For Miriam and the boys, I'm Dean Johnson. We'll see you at that one. Thanks for watching.